The Discover College Soccer podcast is sponsored by VIO. VIO is the #1 AI camera solution helping players capture college recruitment videos. Check out their new starter and family options by clicking on the link in the description or visit Discover College Soccer to learn more. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Coach Bill up in Suffolk. Welcome, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. You're up there in Boston. A little bit farther from us down here in Florida. Hopefully, I appreciate you sending some of the cooler air down here this week. It's been a little bit nice, but I know you got a game later today, so I don't want to beat around the bush. We're talking here mid-October, heart of the conference season. Um, uh, we'll talk about the soccer side in a minute, but one question that folks always ask is like, well, if I'm a recruit and I want to talk to a coach, should I be calling or emailing them during their season, or should I just wait? How do you work on recruiting while you're in season?
I mean, recruiting never stops. To be perfectly honest, we're fielding phone calls and emails and text messages and doing all that in season. Right? It is definitely as a coaching staff, it's a balancing act that we're trying to fine tune on a daily and a weekly and a yearly basis. I'm pretty fortunate here up at Suffolk that I've got a really good coaching staff around me, and a lot of those coaches do get involved in the recruiting efforts. So there is times where my assistants do a lot of the legwork right now in the fall, while I'm focused on the kind of the day-to-day operations of the in-season requirements. But yeah, if you're a recruit and you're interested in Suffolk or any other school, it doesn't hurt to reach out no matter what time of the year it is.
Okay, well, let's kind of stay on that track. It's October of 23. You're recruiting for the class of 24. How much of your class is locked and loaded, or when do you think roughly time frame do you kind of wrap up the class? What does a normal recruiting cycle look like for you guys?
Sure. Um, it does vary year to year. For the most part, though, we try to wrap up our recruiting by the end of January. That's a target timeline for us. Don't get me wrong, we've definitely taken some players in the spring, and those players have been very impactful for us in the last few years. But from a general standpoint, when we lay out and we plan our recruiting efforts from year to year, it's okay. This time of year, we're doing overnight visits or we're doing on campus tours and whatnot. The application process begins fairly soon for Suffolk with our EA deadlines and whatnot. And then obviously FAFSA is a big component. So the changing dates on that for December 1st release and how that's going to affect our recruiting, we're not fully sure yet. But I'd say best case scenario, we're done with our class end of January.
Okay. Well, in terms of finding players, where do you like to go? What are some tournaments you like to hit? Are you uh, there's certain leagues you focus on? Do you look at high school
Mhm.
games? Kind of just give me an overall view of that.
Yeah, I mean, we've been pretty fortunate. We found some recent success in the last couple of years here at Suffolk. Really going out of region. We've got four players from Miami. We've got a couple from Orlando and Tallahassee. We've hit Florida really well. We've got some Midwest guys. We've got a couple guys from the San Diego area, Mid Atlantic. So if you looked at our roster, I think it's about 50-50 New England to non-New England, and that includes some internationals as well. We're probably a pretty unique institution at the Division III level where we're pretty attractive to the internationals, and I think that's due in large part to us being located in downtown Boston. Obviously an education hub in this country, and it's pretty attractive compared to maybe the rural or suburban campuses. So for the most part, right, we'll go anywhere and everywhere to find good players, players that we think will fit our institution first and foremost. But in terms of leagues, the biggest thing, right? It's not necessarily what league you play for in our eyes. Obviously, we recruit the ECNL events, we recruit the MLS Next events, we'll recruit the USL Academy events as well. For us, it's just finding the right type of players. Some of our best players and our highest performing players are ECNL players. Some of our players that are still in kind of development are MLS Next, and so we're not biased towards one necessary like platform. if you would say. It's just about finding the right players.
So what makes up a right player in your mind, whether that's on the field attributes, off the field stuff? What are you always looking for when you're recruiting?
The biggest thing I talk about when we bring players on campus, especially, is making sure that they love the institution. And coming to soccer or coming to Suffolk should never be a soccer decision, because you'll love our institution from mid-August to mid-November when we're in season, and then when the season ends, right? You better like your time here, right? Because you're in New England, right? You're in a city. There's going to be some cold weather, right? So you better be prepared for that. Not having that soccer release, let's say. So that's very important. Is we really focus on liking the whole institution and everything that comes with it. And then just like every coach, right? We're looking for the right kind of character. Are you going to be a good teammate? That's the first thing we ask after an overnight visit to the guest, right? Would you want to have this guy to be your teammate? And if the answer is yes, then great. We continue the recruitment process. If the answer is no, then we move on, because that's really important for us as well.
No, I love that. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the school. Like you said, you're there in downtown Boston. You've been there a few years now. What are some of the things that you find particularly attractive about the school? Maybe some stuff we wouldn't even know just by going through the website.
Yeah, I mean, we are, when I say we're located in downtown Boston, I say we are located in downtown Boston. I mean, we have the Massachusetts State House is next to one of our academic buildings. Our dorm buildings are next to Boston City Hall. Right? We are very much integrated into the day-to-day operations of a major U.S. city, from the political standpoint, right, with the state houses and the city halls, but then we're also right around the corner from the financial district, right? And we're down the street from Mass General, which is one of the best hospitals in the world. So we felt, or at least I felt, and I'm biased. I went to a school in the city as well. I love the idea of going to school in the city because it integrates you and gets you ready for that next step of life, right? Upon graduation, right? You're going to go into the work world. Chances are you're going to be working in a major city. So going to school here allows you to get used to that right away. And I think it really does. And we talked to parents about this, and parents actually do agree after when I talked to them on senior day, right, compared to when they arrive on their freshman year. It really accelerates the maturation process a lot, because you have, even to go get a cup of coffee, if you want to go to a Dunkin' Donuts or a Starbucks, you're going to have to walk across a major road, right? And that isn't for everybody, right? It definitely takes a very independent person to be here. But if you like the idea of going to sporting events and going to concerts and going out to eat and doing everything that entertainment wise that a city can offer, it's a phenomenal place to go to school.
Yeah, as someone who went to college in a major metro
Yep.
downtown, I agree. Well, in terms of the academic side of things, right? It's about, especially Division III. It's about being a student athlete. In particular do your players really work on balancing the demands of being an athlete as well as the academics, and what kind of support systems does a school have to make sure they have success?
Sure. I think Suffolk does a really good job supporting their student athletes. And I think the way we set up our day, the way we set up our calendar, really supports that as well. We mentioned pre-call. We practice 12 o'clock every day, which is very unique, right? Even coming from high school, going to college, right? Most high school students are in class from 7:30 in the morning till 2 o'clock, and then they go to practice 3 to 5, and you get a club element as well. Everything's at night. For our students, they're in class at 8, 9 in the morning, right? They're probably done with class at 11. They go to train 12 to 2. Some of them go back to class at 3, 4 o'clock. Some of them are then in study hall, film sessions, and treatment with the athletic training room. But we structure everything that we can do here so that by 6 o'clock at night, they're basically done with all their academic and athletic requirements for the day, right? So that they can have that social aspect, right? And experience Boston, because it's so, as we mentioned, it's so important, to what Suffolk is. But the day to day ops, we get multiple academic advisors, right? Multiple tutors, both peer and professional. So we've been pretty fortunate where we've academically been very successful since my tenure started here at Suffolk, and it's something that we really focus on and harp on kind of in the conversations. So, but again, that it all comes down to finding the right person as well, and finding the right student, because of, like we mentioned, all the distractions and the fun that you can have here. at some point they're going to have to make a decision. Okay, I can't go to that. I can't go to the Celtics game tonight. I got to study for my test. So finding the right people that can handle that type of atmosphere obviously bodes well.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to looking at colleges, which I'm very early on with my daughter, and the big parent question is always, okay, what's this going to cost me? So
Yep.
I'm not holding you to hard numbers here, but just give me an overview of what a normal student athlete coming in might expect in terms of what kind of aid is available, how much aid,
Mm-hmm.
what might what might the final price look like for a player?
Obviously the final price is dependent on so many individual
Sure,
factors, right?
sure.
Their academic success in high school, right? They're going to take a holistic approach to the application process. Whether or not the student athlete qualifies for any FAFSA government aid, any need-based aid from the institution itself. Suffolk, just like many schools, offers it on a threefold, right? You're going to get an academic scholarship based on your GPA, right? You're going to get need-based aid awarded from the institution, and then if you do qualify, you'll get some need-based aid awarded through government aid. But for the most part, we're very competitive in terms of the schools in the New England area. Housing is a little bit pricey here, right? Being in a metropolitan area. But to offset some of that cost, and we talked about the independents, a lot of our upperclassmen move off campus and go to get apartments in the city, and it actually helps alleviate a lot of the costs. So, it is a private institution, so I wouldn't say we're penny for penny equal to some of the state schools in the area, but when in terms of all the private institutions, we're extremely competitive.
Okay. Well, let's talk more about the soccer side of things. You, you like I said, it's game day for you. Let's talk about the roster size. How many do you have an ideal roster size that you like to shoot for each year? And does everybody travel? What's the roster situation kind of look like?
Yeah, we travel everybody, and I think that's really important. Especially not only Division III but collegiate athletics, right? I think, yes, not every single player gets to play in every game, and that's something that's hard for some guys to learn early on in their careers, right? I was talking to one of our student athletes the other day who's kind of struggling with that, and I just told him, I was like, look, chances are anybody who came into this program was probably the best player on their high school team or one of the best players in their club team, right? And now you're basically on an all-star team, right? Everybody's status in the program is the same, but everybody's role is going to be different. But the least I can do is allow them to travel to the games and experience the game day, and it's only going to help them down the line. So the ideal roster size for us is around 32. Our roster right now is a little bit bigger. Numerically, we do have a couple guys on our website roster that are had career-ending injuries that we want to keep on the roster, and which is unfortunate. So it definitely skews the number, but we're heavy in the senior junior class just because that was the junior class of mine was my first full recruiting cycle, and it was during COVID, and it was we took an approach of saying, hey, the program was struggling a little bit before it took over. We have to influx with talent. So we went out there and got as many players, good players as we could find. And then the junior, you'll notice in the sophomore and the freshman class, it's a little bit more around that 8-9 number, which we're consistent about. So yeah, 32 is the ideal. And we're trending in that way as we continue the recruiting cycles moving forward.
Okay. What you mentioned earlier about your staff helps with recruiting. So give me a overview of your staff, how many, what roles do they play, and what other maybe support staff uh, do you have in other areas of the athletic department that help with the team and that sort of thing?
Yeah. So I've got a pretty big staff, and I like that a lot. And I think it goes due in large part to our location, right? We're in a city. We have, a lot of people live around here. A lot of people want to be involved in collegiate athletics. So we've got we have some part-time assistants that are paid. We've got some volunteer assistants as well. But I've always been under the idea that, a college soccer roster or college soccer coaching staff can be similar to that of a college football staff, right? We can have positional coaches, right? We have goalkeeper coaches. Why can't we have defending coaches? Why can't we have midfield coaches? Why can't we have striker coaches? Or at least, offensive and defensive coordinators in some sense. So I love the idea of having a big staff. I look back at my own career. I wouldn't be college coaching if somebody didn't take a chance on me from an unpaid perspective. So if somebody wants to get involved in college athletics, right, I'm going to help them. So we have 6 guys on staff, right? So and those are, including myself. So goalkeeper coach, and then all the coaches are part time. They all have different requirements, whether it's recruiting responsibilities, whether it's on-field tactics, whether it's video analysis, whether it's game day scouts and prep, or everybody's required or asked at least to do certain components of training sessions as well. I do think there's value in the players not hearing my voice at all times as well, right? You want to have a consistent message, but having it delivered by a different person, I think, is very beneficial to our guys. All right, so on field we have all that, and then off field we're fortunate, obviously, to have full-time athletic trainers, which is very important. We also have a mental skills coach that works with all the athletes within our department, and then we have a sports psychologist intern that works directly with our team, both as a collective and individuals. So we are trying to enhance them athletically on the field, but also try to better them off the field.
No, that's great. Well, how would you describe overall your style of coaching, the team style of play?
Um, that's definitely evolved over the years. I'll tell you that. I've had a very unique path to where I am. I've been pretty fortunate where I was 23, 24 years old when I got my first head coaching job. I was a head coach for 9 years before I became an assistant. So I had no idea what I was doing early on in my career, right? I was coaching the men's program and the women's at the same time. Both teams played a different system. So I was basically coaching 2 seasons in one, right? Just trying to figure it out. So how I coached back then is obviously a little bit different. The game has slowed down, right? We're definitely very detailed. You know, defensively, right? We want to be very organized. We want to be very structured. We want to be a pain to play against, right? Our goal defensively is when they see Suffolk on the website, they're like, oh, this one's going to be this one's going to be a tough one, right? They're going to be good on set pieces. They're going to be organized. They're going to be hard to break down. But offensively, I want our guys to go play. And this is something that is really involved, right? It's what I see on the sideline or what a parent sees or what another assistant coach sees on the sideline is different than what a player sees on the field. So we want our guys to be creative. We want our guys to be instinctual, right? We want to help guide and say, hey, we want to look to break down the team in this area. But how they do that, right? We have to give them the freedom. We have to trust them to make decisions. So very instinctual, very free flowing offensively.
Okay. Well, one thing I noticed about your schedule, and you guys are doing great, having an awesome season. Congratulations. But
Thank
one
you.
cool thing I noticed was a little matchup against the team across town.
Yeah.
Not many Division threes get a chance in the regular season to schedule a Division one opponent. So what's that like? How did that work? And were your boys psyched to go up against Boston College?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the second year that BC has done it, and I've got a relationship with the coaching staff. I know them pretty well over there. A very good friend of mine is on the staff there. Um, what an experience, the first and foremost, right? Even as a head coach, right, you never expect that opportunity, right, to go play an ACC school in the regular season. The players were thrilled. They were ecstatic. They were looking forward to it, obviously, right? Out of high school, they were all given these aspirations to play Division One soccer. They ended up coming to play for here at Suffolk, but hey, we can show you kind of what that level is like. And our guys were performed really, really well. And I think talking to BC afterwards too, it was beneficial for them too. They even said, right, this is what we tried to do, and defensively against them is what a mid-major tries to do, and it allowed them to work on some stuff and some concepts that maybe they wouldn't have the opportunity to do. And then for us, right, to get that national exposure, it's definitely helped in the recruiting world, and it's allowed some club coaches from all parts of the country to watch us play. Right, games on ESPN Plus. So, all right, they figure out who we are now, and how maybe how good we are or how good we could be. Excuse me. So it's awesome.
Yeah, That would be really cool. I got when I I got to play against one D1 in my 4 years of Division III playing, and although it was not an ACC school, that's for sure. But that was so I saw that, thought that'd be cool. Well, you've been very generous with your time. I got one last question. The way I like to end these is, you know, primarily the folks watching this, listening to this podcast are players, parents, or folks, going through the recruiting process or starting to think about it. So if there was one piece of advice, one nugget of information that you think all players going through this process or families going through this process should know, what would that be?
Um, First and foremost, enjoy it. Right, it is going to get stressful, right? But at the end of the day, every decision you make is only going to benefit you. Because at the end of the day, you get to play college soccer, right? Or your son and daughter is going to be able to play college soccer, which is a very cool and percentage wise, it's a pretty unique experience. If it's cost effective, right, I recommend any player going through this process to look at and see and talk to as many colleges as they can. Right, I think at the end of the day, right, talk to the city schools, talk to the rural schools, talk to schools that are in a different region of the country that you necessarily weren't looking to go to. It doesn't hurt to have a conversation, right? College coaches are doing the same thing that prospective college athletes are doing, right? We're looking at 10 players for maybe one position. You're looking at 10 schools, right, for one position. So the more you look at, the better refine your understanding of what college is going to be like for you. And the more schools you look at, the better idea that you'll get of kind of what makes the most sense for you. So whether it's going to the website, listen to these podcasts, just driving through when you're at a club tournament, just find a random college and drive through it and see what it looks like. Because you're going to find things on that campus that you definitely need to have. And that's just only going to help.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I've driven through 4 or 5 in the last
Yep.
6 months just because, and it's
Yep.
been very helpful. So great advice. Well, Coach, wish you the best of luck today and with the rest of the season. Hopefully, you'll get your name called there for the national tournament. And if you get down here to Lakewood Ranch for any of the tournaments for recruiting, give me a shout and we'll catch up. All right.
Yeah, I've got an assistant coach from Florida, so he loves doing the Florida circuit. So we'll definitely be down there soon.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Coach, and we'll take care.
Awesome. Thanks, Pat.
Hi, everybody. It's Matt from Discover College Soccer. I hope you're enjoying the podcast, whether that's on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I also wanted to let you know about the Discover College Soccer Study Table. This is our brand new online portal that is complete with a 14-part online course giving you all of the ins and outs of the college soccer recruiting process. There's also a wealth of resources such as checklists, templates. There's the spreadsheets that have every soccer program in the country along with their coaches, their contact information, their social media information, some basic stats about the school, and more. Plus, there's an online community where you can ask your questions, share your wins, your losses, any questions that you may have around the college soccer recruiting process. It's all there at the Discover College Soccer study table that you can find at discovercollegesoccer.com/study table, and hopefully we will see you there.